Good morning and welcome to Enterprise Morning this morning. I am Henry Igwebike and love us to start the day with our newspapers, and right after that will be our main conversation also for today. But please do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can find us, reach us when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. Very so honored to have joining me via Zoom is Emeka Madonago, journalist, public affairs analyst, to see through what we have from our newspapers and possibly our main conversation for today. Good morning, Emeka, and welcome to Enterprise Morning today.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you so very much for your time.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here. Thank
All
you.
right. Yes, beautiful. So let's kickstart today with the first daily on our desk coming from the Vanguard newspaper. We have the big story. No more negotiation. Ransom payment to terrorists. Defense Minister General Musa says. We have on the top strip, U.S. issues visa ban on Nigerians involved in anti-Christian violence. Emeka, let's start with no more negotiation, ransom payments to terrorists. Defense Minister General Musa, former CDS, now Defense Minister officially. Do you think we should expect anything different from the man who told us that the only solution to terrorism, insurgency in Nigeria is to fence the country? And secondly, that Nigerians should go and learn karate and judo to take care of themselves. So do we expect anything different having him now as the Defense Minister?
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. I think, excuse me, the new the minister designate, shouldn't have said that. You see, in any security matters, you don't let exuberance, because that was the screening. That was the Senate screening, and you see the politicians who, the politician, yes, Minister of State for Defense, Minister of State, Minister of Defense, Minister of State for Defense, they are politicians. And but Musa is a retired general, and so there may have been certain things that informed the payment of ransoms, negotiations and things like that. Which the National Security Advisor, who is a retired senior police officer, retired AIG, also called a non-kinetic approach. So they may have had their reasons for that. So for General Musa to have come to say no more negotiation, he's already showing a lack of understanding of the dynamics, of this problem we are having in the country. That was a big group, and I hope his media aid will help him to correct it as quickly as possible. Because, you see, every country in the world tells you they will not negotiate with terrorists, will not negotiate with, but they indulge in backdoor negotiations, And so, depending on the circumstances, there may be a need for negotiation, but maybe through third parties. But what I'm saying is that, yes, on the flip side, yes, it is good to say, because every country says so, that there will be no negotiation. But in reality, sometimes there may be need for negotiation. I think what needs to be done is to, as much as possible, deal with the problem. Deal with the problem by all means, kinetic and non-kinetic. Make kidnapping a thing of the past. Then we will know we're in business. But to just make a sweeping statement, it will not, it's just a bravado. Whereas, that there are issues on ground. The morale of your troops is low. Are they being well remunerated? Are they being well paid? Yesterday, the senators talked about placing the military on first line charge. So when the military is not on first line charge, how do you confidently say such a thing? But if the military is on first line charge, it means that once allocations are being made, the military gets its allocations directly. And so there is no need for, any long term, there won't be any obstacles in the way. But again, we have to also look at, in fairness to the general, look at corruption, ensuring that there's no corruption in anything that is being done, whether in negotiation or not. Because it looks like this thing has presented because some people are making money from the whole thing. I don't have proof to that, but well, the general may need to investigate, how transparent the negotiations and all of those things have been. Thank you.
Very well said, Emeka. And the truth remains that General Musa Christopher has more than enough opportunity to deal with this problem. Remember, he just was stepped down from the CDS, which means the current CDS technically remains a junior to him, and the whole file, rank and file of the military still owe him so much respect. So if he doesn't work with his men to ensure that this is curbed, then it means that this problem might remain with us for a very long time to come. But let's take a look at the Punch newspaper for today. Abduction crisis. National Assembly asks the federal government to name terrorism financiers. Emeka, Nigerians are getting tired of these terrorism financiers that we don't know who they are. From Muhammad Buhari late, when the UAE released the names of the financiers, up until today, Nigerians are yet to know who these financiers are. I just believe that by the time they finally name the financiers, we might not have forgotten even what the problem was in the first place. Speak to me, please.
No, there was a list released some days ago now, which was released in 2021.
So
but the Buhari administration kept it, kept it in the draft.
But we didn't know who the persons are. That's the issue.
Yeah. No, we don't know who is on trial now. Tukomamo is on trial. Yes, he's on trial. He was said to have, he was accused of receiving 50 million from the ransom paid by the Kaduna train victims. He's on trial for that. There's some other companies, mainly Bureau de Change Operators, name. But of course, I know that the current Tinubu administration actually barred some Bureau de Change Operators from the system. Well, I don't know whether some of those indicted ones, were among those thrown out of the foreign exchange system by the Tinubu administration. But the issue is that there are calls that there should be a holistic list. There should be a holistic list. It's not just those few people. There was a long list that was given to former Attorney General Abubakar Malami, SAN, by the United Arab Emirates. Where are the people on the list? That's the question. Because when you look at the scale and the rapidity of these terrorist operations, it looks choreographed, as if some people are actually somewhere, giving these guys, a heads up, and I don't think these guys, those terrorists are actually so intellectually endowed that, they can respond in certain ways they have. Just as if maybe there are people who are sitting, in some locations, plotting the next move. And that's why, for instance, United States President Donald Trump is saying that the Tinubu administration is not doing enough. Excuse me, he's not doing enough to deal with terrorism. Because if you look at this, the reliable sophistication with which they move. Nigerian government came out attacking Trump. No. How come? Before Trump, there was a Chibok abduction. There was a Dapchi abduction of school children. There was the Kankara boys. There was the FGC Yauri, abduction of school boys in FGC Yauri. There were other abductions here and there. There was a killing at St. Francis Catholic Church in Norway. There have been killings here and there. So, why would you now say Trump? So what about, was Trump in power when those other wars took place? The point is that it appears that some people within the Tinubu administration and around it actually benefiting from this thing. Yes, because the explanations given by some of them I mean, makes you want to wonder if they came short of openly supporting the terrorists. I mean, look at the way they twisted the story that Trump wanted to invade and attack Nigeria, and that was not what Trump said. He said he was going to attack the terrorists, and then the next thing they turned it to, and then some of them, okay, the media too, I mean, also came out to make it look as if it's a Christian versus Muslim issue. So you'll find out that when you have criminality sustained this way, there are people who may be benefiting somehow or the other. So all of these things need to be exposed. General Musa should expose all of these things. I speak now. Thank you.
All right, Emeka, let's get to an issue that I would love you to really, brainstorm on, and that is happening in Ogun State. Dapo Abiodun presents 1.67 trillion naira 2026 appropriation bill to Ogun Assembly. Emeka, you're closest to Ogun State right now, and love you to speak to us on. Do you think this 1.67 trillion is worthy enough to be presented, knowing that Ogun State that should have a spillover growth and development from Lagos is not having any of that? Network roads in Ogun are all very dilapidated to an extent. Rather than get all of those fixed or connect Ogun State to the red and the blue line that started in Lagos, rather what we see is construction of a cargo airline that can only be used by people like Dapo Abiodun, his cronies and friends, and not the poor man in Ijebode. Speak to me on what you think is happening there.
Yeah, I had a look at the budget early this morning, and then, I think I had some disappointment, with the issue, with the way the expected, profit of funding the budget. I mean, 1/3 will come from internally generated revenue, about 500 billion. Then another 1/3 will come from receipts from the federation account. Then the other 1/3 will come from loans. I was taken aback because as a businessman and somebody who is well acquainted with Ogun State, I believe that if Ogun had an ambitious target, to raise up to 1 trillion naira in terms of internally generated revenue, I can do so. I believe so because I've traveled far and wide within Ogun State, and I know the potential of the state. That Ogun State, look at in Anambra State. I mean, without being accused, of any comparison, but when Professor Chukwuma Soludo came on board, he said he would fund the operations of government, from internally generated revenue. And then look at the report by budget, the budget transparency tracker. It has named the Anambra State as #1 state in terms of fiscal governance. I mean, and he asked other states to emulate Governor Chukwuma Soludo, because in terms of, internally generated revenue, Soludo has done so much. Yeah, he has not borrowed. There were loans that other governors from other states, there was a particular loan that governors from other states took, but he rejected it. And so far, so good. He has built a new government house. He has built some other things. He has been doing roads. And he says that those things are basically from internally generated revenue. Then if you look at in terms of VAT receipts, in terms of some other areas, I think Governor Dapo Abiodun, with due respect to him, should look more closely at the revenue profile of the state. Because again, there is this talk that a number of people live in Ogun State and work in Lagos State actually pay their taxes to Lagos State, their personal income taxes to Lagos State. It shouldn't be like that. You pay your personal income tax, you pay as you earn. You are supposed to remit it to where you live. And we know that there are thousands of residents of Ogun State, who work in Lagos. So I think that's an issue that Governor Dapo Abiodun can resolve. In a dialogue with the president, President Bola Tinubu and tax authorities, and his counterpart in Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. So I thought maybe he would have placed, an IGR target of like 1 or 1.2 or 1.3 trillion, and then move to do it because he can make it. Ogun State has a lot of markets. Ogun State has a lot of industries. I think maybe Ogun has the highest number of industries in Nigeria, possibly even higher than Lagos State. Ogun has a lot of solid industries, factories here and there.
But don't you think, Emeka? I'm sorry to interject, Emeka. Yeah, sorry to interject. Don't you think the reason why we have so many industries in Ogun State is because of the minimal tax that those companies pay, which makes them easier to operate in Ogun State than in Lagos? So asking that Ogun State should borrow some leave from Lagos on taxation, don't you think that would further drive away the many industries that we are talking about? So how do we balance it?
Not from Lagos, from Anambra. What I'm saying is this: what state governments are statutorily empowered to, the major taxes pay as you earn is paying. If we can resolve that issue of people working in Lagos and living in Ogun State paying taxes to Lagos, that is one area he needs to fight and find a way to resolve. Secondly, in terms of tax, he may need to get people who can actually help him to look more closely at the tax profile of the state, at areas where the state can actually make some money. Ogun has a lot of ongoing a lot of potential which can actually be turned into taxation. Of course, you have some other areas like sales tax. Yes, there's VAT, which is charged by the federal government, but there's sales tax as well. For instance, this ride-hailing platforms, there is a tax that you pay. They call it road tax. I've seen it charged in Lagos. I've seen it charged in the FCT Abuja. So I don't know if it is charged in Ogun State. But Ogun needs to punch above his weight, because in terms of population, it has a very large population. And the population is growing. So I think the governor needs to, look more closely at, yes, the airport. Yes, you might say that the airport can only afford access to the elite. But don't forget too that if certain other activities, certain other facilities are tied to the airport, that there's a lot that can be that can be gained. For instance, one suggestion I'd like to make to them is to upgrade the Ijebu-Ode Township Stadium. So if they can upgrade it, or upgrade the one in the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abeokuta. If they can upgrade it, then what it means is that, if, for instance, the Remo Stars, I think their home base is, if their home base is Ijebu-Ode, Remo Star, which has been doing well domestically, if their home base is in Ijebu-Ode or Abeokuta, their proprietor, he owns an airline, Value Jet. So I think the governor can work out an intermodal system whereby, Remo Stars plays their matches, so their matches in Ijebu-Ode. So if you upgrade Ijebu-Ode Stadium, that will mean that a lot of people, that Sela Pabio did it as governor of Akwa Ibom State. So Governor Dakwabia is a governor just like that. So he can actually, look at the international stadium in Akwa Ibom. That's the best stadium in Nigeria, internationally approved, TAP approved, FIFA graded. So if we can have another one in Ogun State, either in Ijebu-Ode or Abeokuta, the governor can actually upgrade the stadiums. That would be a win-win for him, because what it means is that even certain matches, the Super Eagles can play certain matches in Abeokuta or in Ijebu-Ode. And you can imagine the crowd. The benefits, sports, tourism, and all of that. So that's one thing I think I can suggest. You know, I mean, he said he has done more roads than previous administrations. You know, yes, I think he should continue. He should expand it. He should look at some other areas like Mowe, Ibafo, you know, and the rest of them, you know, on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway axis, you know, upgrade them so that you can, you know, you can get in and, for instance, be collecting land use charge. You know, you can collect land use charge, tenement rate. If you just, you know, provide things like maybe roads, some, you know, infrastructural facilities here and there. Of course, the people will be obligated to reciprocate by, you know, I mean, paying land use charge. And then the local governments will also collect tenement rate. That way, you know, it will be a win-win situation for the state. Thank you.
Very well said, Mecca. Those are low-hanging fruits that I think the government should take care of. New Jersey takes advantage of the spillover from New York to better itself, and one would wonder how and when would Ogun State equally take advantage of that opportunity, like the stadium you did mention. These are areas and measures and avenues that you can bring in so much money to the state intentionally. Godswill Akpabio did it in Akwa Ibom State, and as at the time he was building that stadium, lots of people thought it was a white elephant project, but today it is the haven of sporting activities in Nigeria. And who says that any other governor like Dapo Abiodun cannot replicate such in his state? But of course, it boils down to intentionality, and when our leaders and our politicians will stop playing politics and start playing governance. Emeka will be here to take us on our main conversation when we return. Inside Nigeria's new anti-kidnapping laws, what you should know. That in a bit. Enterprise Morning it is. Don't go anywhere.